was another very busy week here at the Capitol as committees continued to hear bills, testimony, and presentations on many different subjects. Here's a look back at what happened during the week.
House File number 14, number 1 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to capital investment, the first engrossment.
Help for farmers seeking low-interest loans could be on the way as the House passed House File 14 Monday by a vote of 129-0. Sponsored by Representative Tim Miller, the bill would authorize bond sales to raise $35 million for the Rural Finance Authority, which helps provide loans to increase rural economic development, but no longer has money to lend after the failure of last year's bonding bill.
The Rural Finance Authority was established in 1986 to administer a program under which the state partners with agricultural lenders to provide low-cost funding to Minnesota farmers.
The bill now goes to the Senate, where Senator Andrew Lang is the sponsor. A bill with an international angle got an airing at a House hearing Tuesday. House File 400, sponsored by Representative Ron Krisha, would bar state government from entering into contracts with vendors that discriminate against Israel.
The basic concept is we're not going to discriminate against Jewish people and their businesses. We would like to do business with them in the state of Minnesota. We would like to do businesses, and there's a movement out there to boycott, divest, and put sanctions against Jewish businesses as a practice for the state of Minnesota. I'm saying in this bill, I don't think that's acceptable.
Opponents say the bill would violate the U.S. Constitution's free speech guarantees.
I just want to repeat the words of Antonin Scalia, who said, quote, "The first axiom of the First Amendment is this: as a general rule, the state has no power to ban speech on the basis of its content."
The House Government Operations and Elections Policy Committee approved the bill as amended and sent it to the House State Government Finance Committee. A nonpartisan report released Tuesday on the Minnesota Sports Facilities Authority, which operates U.S. Bank Stadium, found that family and friends of government officials had benefited from free football, soccer, and concert tickets, along with charging the authority with sidestepping a state law requiring keeping a record of who gets free tickets. On Tuesday, the Office of the Legislative Auditor presented the report to a joint meeting of the House and Senate state government committees.
We held the authority to their own stated public purpose for controlling and using these suites, marketing. And so when we saw people there, and regardless of what their political party was, that was kind of irrelevant to us. What is relevant is the authority using the suites for their stated public purpose, marketing. And in too many cases, they did not use it for that purpose.
Michelle Kelm-Helgen, chair of the Minnesota Sports Facilities Authority, and Executive Director Ted Mondale were on hand to respond to the Legislative Auditor's report.
The Minnesota Sports Facilities Authority has reviewed the auditor's report regarding suite use. We publicly thank the auditor and his team for their thorough and fair assessment. We will fully implement, and in a number of aspects have already implemented, each of the recommendations included in the auditor's report.
Representative Sarah Anderson, chair of the House State Government Finance Committee, sponsors House File 778, which would crack down on suite usage, introduce legislative oversight, and alter the authority's board membership. The bill awaits action by the committee. On Tuesday night, a joint meeting of the House and Senate Higher Education Committees heard recommendations of candidates for the University of Minnesota Board of Regents. The 12-member Board of Regents is the university's governing body. At the meeting, legislators endorsed candidates for 4 board positions. The quartet recommended to have their name placed before a joint convention of the legislature are Steve Svigum of Kenyon from the 2nd Congressional District, Darren Rocha of Independence from the 3rd Congressional District, David McMillan of Duluth from the 8th Congressional District, and Tom Devine of Chanhassen for the at-large seat. Senator Jason Isaacson questioned the politicizing of the process when someone can have their name submitted for a vote without following the process from the beginning.
I have seen now, in my very short time in the legislature, this position get politicized again, unfortunately, and it's really disgusting. And I'm really frustrated.
The House Government Operations and Elections Policy Committee approved House File 600 on Wednesday. Sponsored by Representative Pat Garofalo, the bill would prohibit local governments from adopting ordinances that regulate minimum wage, paid or unpaid leave, work scheduling, or other work benefits or working conditions. Garofalo said his purpose is unified labor law across Minnesota.
Quite simply, we have 854 cities in the state of Minnesota. We have 87 counties. and a patchwork of labor standards that is disparate and confusing across our state, makes it very difficult to do business in our state. And so by having this uniform labor standard, we can avoid this patchwork and problematic measures that are involved with that.
The hearing drew 32 public testifiers, including 22 bill opponents.
There is nothing virtuous about uniform laws if they're uniformly bad. And this push by the Minnesota Chamber is completely disingenuous.
The committee approved House File 600, 10-6 party line roll call vote, sending it to the House Ways and Means Committee. On Thursday, the House Education Innovation Policy Committee reviewed a report from the Student Discipline Working Group highlighting Minneapolis and St. Paul Public Schools student misconduct and disciplinary issues. Teacher support and student expectations were the main focus. Ed Graff, superintendent of the Minneapolis Public Schools, testified before the committee.
Our job as educators is to try and understand our students, the systems they're moving through, and how we can make sure that we are serving their unique needs and addressing their academic, social, and emotional well-being.
In the 2015-16 school year, 51,667 students' suspensions and expulsions were reported, an 11% increase over the previous year. John Tyne, superintendent of St. Paul Public Schools, also spoke to committee members.
We've worked very hard to make sure that counselors, nurses, psychologists, other support staff are there, but also community members, because we all know it's a community that makes a difference in a school.
The House took up 2 bills Thursday that would throw shade on small-scale solar energy generators. By an 89-37 vote, the House passed House File 234, sponsored by Representative Dave Baker. The bill would exempt rural electric cooperatives' net metering rules from being regulated by the Public Utilities Commission.
Members, what I'm asking today is let's give our local boards the authority that they need to make those decisions based on what's right for those communities, to make sure that their voice is heard to their members.
Representative Rick Hansen questioned whether local utilities boards are open and transparent to state standards for government.
It's a new century. There's new opportunities. I think customers, wherever they are in this state, are looking for the opportunity to try new things. I think this bill is a step backward, and I would encourage a vote against it.
The House also took up House File 235, sponsored by Representative Marion O'Neill. It would bring to an end Made in Minnesota solar incentives for owners of solar panels.
We've analyzed the last 3 years of data, and it simply just doesn't live up to the expectations. So I think we can repurpose the money and do a lot more with it.
O'Neill's bill would also rechristen the Renewable Development Account, which currently funds renewable energy technology research, as the Energy Fund account. Passed by the House 76-49, House File 235 goes now to the Senate.
As amended and its title agreed to.
Thanks for watching. For more coverage on the Minnesota House of Representatives, check out our Session Daily coverage on our website, www.house.mn/Session Daily.